Hello everyone. Today we are here with VoxPerNox. And
Hi.
is there anything you would like to say before we get started?
Um, Hello. I'm Michael. I go by Mig, but most people listening probably know me as VoxPerNox from the narration channel. Um, how's it going?
So we have
That's it.
questions.
That's my whole set.
That works. Okay, we have questions for you as a narrator, as a writer, and as a artist. So we'll go ahead and get started. The first set of questions I'm going to ask you is to you as a narrator.
hmm
Do you have any plans for your channel?
I do. It's been dead forever. I can't remember the last time I uploaded something, maybe 5 or 6 months ago. But I have 6 videos all queued up. Anyone who's been following it for any length of time knows the most popular video on the channel, which was a poem called Bound, and everybody liked it so much I decided to make a trilogy out of it. And the first part of that trilogy is already recorded and 20 minutes long, so you can imagine what kind of a big project this is. Um, I also have parts 2 and 3 of Maligned and a tragic little short story that I wrote as well. They're all planned to go up there as soon as possible. And then whatever else I come up with.
How did you come up with your channel name?
Um, I'm white, so I like using other languages as decoration, and Latin's a cool dead language that I can use without pissing anybody off. Um, and I'm sorry, a bit of a cold. I um I like the night. I've always liked walking around at night just because it's kind of cool and peaceful and nice, and I kind of prefer the dark to the daylight. Because I'm a vampire, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, I like hang around at night, so I wanted like a clever, catchy name that had something to do with that and something to do with voice because I like doing voiceover and all that. And also, I just wanted it to not be like the creepy creep past a man past a creep like everybody else. So yeah.
How did your persona come to be?
Um, well, the one I guess that's the one on the because I've got two.
Oh, tell us
There's
about both
the
of them.
well, I mean, there's the bird that I use all the time, Mig, the little black and yellow bird, or the big black. I don't. I don't have an official avatar anymore. I just draw black and yellow birds of whatever I feel like at the time, and that's my net face. But there was also this weird little gremlin that I had as my avatar when I was doing everything on the Vox channel, and um, he turned up because I needed an icon, so I pulled a picture of a crazy demon robot villain of mine from a comic. And when I had to actually draw an avatar, I basically just took him and changed it up a little bit, which is why the gremlin thing that few people have seen anyway looks like such a weird, asymmetrical, grotesque freak. Yeah,
How has
I don't
narrating
know what the hell
changed
he's
you?
even supposed to be.
Those are the best
Oh.
creatures, though.
um, how has it changed me? Well, it's given me confidence. I mean, I've always liked telling stories. That's the one thing I like to do the most. Um, and when I decided to make the channel and sort of, join the little online horror community and start telling stories, the feedback I got from people who were like, "Oh, it sounds great, and these stories that you wrote are neat," and I was kind of, probably like a lot of people, I was just kind of blown away by that feedback. Like, wow, people actually like stuff, and that gave me the confidence I needed to actually pursue a future and a career in storytelling, be it videos or comics or whatever. So that's the biggest thing.
How has narrating changed your life?
Um, well, aside from changing my prospective future, like I just said, the people that I've met through doing that, that's been a significant change in my life. I've met um, a lot of people that I've been, working with, and I've made some. I think that they're important connections. People who aren't just friends, but people who are also trying to get into entertainment, and it's definitely important to have those connections. Obviously, if you want to be a professional. So I'd say that my brief time spent on YouTube spooking people is that's been a pretty significant change.
Why
I
did
feel
you
like I should try to
start
be more
narrating?
interesting.
Oh, no, actually, I'm finding this interesting. So, yeah.
Might I start? I don't actually know. I mean, I like telling stories, obviously. I had a webcomic at the time that I was trying to get off the ground, but it wasn't really going anywhere. And the YouTube thing, because it's delivered in small chunks, 5-minute videos, that seemed like something that would be fun to do on the side, so I could pursue the passion while still focusing mainly on the stuff that I really want to do over in the other direction. But as it got popular and I got more people watching, and that sort of became my focus for a while, which was fun. I got to take part in a lot of um, little projects and collaborations that people set up. So the reason I got so deep into it is just because, yeah, a lot of people reached out to me and a lot of people liked it, and just became too much fun not to do.
Um, which creepypasta do you want to narrate, but are having trouble doing so?
But are any of them, because it's really hard to get myself to work on them. I mean, I don't do the kind of stuff that you would find on the wiki or anything like that anymore, because I'm focusing just on original stories that I write. But as much fun as I have when I actually sit down with the mic and work on them, it's I have that very common artist problem where it's very difficult just to get myself in the chair and start working on them, which is why it's taken so long to get these few videos out of the queue and onto the channel.
Which creepypasta has made an impact on your life?
Mm, I think I don't think there's one in particular that did. I sort of absorb different things from all of them. Um, Slenderman is where I got the idea of these, that non-traditional ghost characters could be a really interesting subject. Because he doesn't fit in with any kind of well-known ghostly archetype. And the art of Jacob Emery was another one that that seemed kind of unique, and I guess it was the kind of the folksy vibe of it, because most of them, because it's been years since I first got into this, and back when I first did, I was, just another nerd, and my idea of an engaging story was like either people throwing fireballs at each other or people making out, or anime stuff. And every once in a while I'll come across a story that makes me realize that something low key, or something can be unique and engaging without being extreme.
Yeah. What creepypasta will you not narrate?
Uh, well, at this point, anything written by somebody else. I mean, if someone wrote something specifically for me because they wanted me to read it, because I've been thinking about writing stuff for other narrators as well. But I'm not going to pull anything off of a website or anything. I just want to do my own stuff, because that's really what I'm in this for, is for telling stories and not reciting other people's stories, but coming up with my own stuff and telling those stories, because those are the ones I like the most.
That is it for narrator questions. And so the next
Alrighty.
set is for you as a writer. Which creepypasta do you wish you had been the one to write?
Slendy.
Mm.
I wish I'd created Slendy because I think there's a lot of potential in that character, and it seems like it's kind of a waste that it just came from a something awful forum and then was just kind of grabbed hold of by the zeitgeist and just stretched out and used in a very schizophrenic way. If the guy who created the character had um, set out to create a mythos for him and maybe come up with a story in any kind of medium, I think that could have been a really cool story.
Who is your favorite creepypasta writer?
Uh, I'm not familiar with a lot of them, but I'm gonna have to go with Barnabas Damos
Mm.
or Dimos. I'm still not sure how to pronounce that. Didema Dimos, that guy, because he writes his own stuff. Uh, that automatically, I have a lot of respect for him for writing his own stuff that's out. That's also very good. And he wrote a multi-part story that was ridiculously long called Sing a long time ago, and it was also ridiculously good. And it's that story is incomparable to anything else I've ever seen. To like, it's not a takeoff from anything else, or yeah, it's a very unique story. So
It's
yeah,
very beautiful.
that's hats off to Barnabas.
It's very much definitely a very beautiful story. Okay. Where do you get your inspiration?
Um, Kind of like little nuggets of ideas will come from just about everywhere, and my writing process involves embellishing those little nuggets until they're ridiculously complex. I've come up with stories based on dreams that I immediately got up and wrote down. Sometimes it's just a concept that occurs to me that hasn't been done yet, and I'll write an entire story around that. Um, Sometimes just a phrase, actually. That last story that I have queued up for my channel, that little tragedy, it was actually just a forward phrase that popped into my head apropos of nothing, and I wrote an entire story around that. So my inspiration is like tiny, insignificant things that get blown way out of proportion by my crazy head.
How has writing changed you and your life?
Um, well, it's given me an outlet because I was that kid who didn't make a lot of friends, didn't socialize a lot, so I was always wrapped up in stories. And um, being able to do that and write my own stuff and spend my time with that gave me, something to do with my life in my younger years. And as an adult, it's given me something to do with my life, but in a professional sense. It's given me a path. So, yeah, that's nice.
Which creepypasta are you most proud of writing?
Um, I guess that depends on what counts as a creepypasta. Does
Which
Bound
story?
count? I mean, well, Bound is it's pretty creepy, I guess, and that one is by far the most popular. It has the most hits, I know that much, and I know there's at least one person in the community who is just a rabid fan of that one poem. And you know what? I actually went back and listened to it a couple of weeks ago after probably at least a year of having never heard it. And most of the time when I go back and see my old work, I hate it. But that one still holds up. It's still pretty good, if I may say so myself. So, yeah.
Why did
I
you
don't know if that
start
really
writing?
counts as a creepypasta. Uh,
Creepypasta is basically just a story, so yeah, I'll count it.
yeah, spooky story.
Mm.
Uh, Sorry, what was it?
Why did you start writing?
Oh, well, like I said, I didn't really have much to do with myself when I was a kid, but I always liked, wrapping myself up in fiction, basically. So from the moment that I discovered that that was something that I could do, that fiction wasn't something that just came from other people. It was the most engaging thing for me to do, was to come up with my own stuff. And yeah, it just gave me a way to express myself, and I like being an entertainer as well. I like showing my work to other people and having them react to it and having them be pleased or entertained, or you know, I I like doing that. That's my favorite thing.
What is the earliest story you remember writing?
um, give you an idea of how far back my art stretches. The earliest thing I can remember is when I was 5 years old in kindergarten. I created a stick figure character named Mr. Dumb,
Mm.
and his comics would basically just several panels of leading up to him being horribly maimed and hurt. So I guess the closest thing I can think of to a story that I wrote would be several pages of him and his friend and his dog going into space for no reason, and then the space shuttle breaks apart and explosively decompresses because it's a piece of crap, and his head pops. The end.
That works.
That's the earliest story I remember writing.
Where do you see yourself going with your writing career?
Um, I'd I'd really like to become a webcomic author. That's something that I've been wanting to do for years now. Because I have a huge list of webcomics in my bookmarks that I follow regularly, and it just seems like too much fun. Um, I always forget that novels are still a thing. Like I walk past a bookstore and I remember briefly that books still exist. But, I probably could write books if my stories weren't so weird that they kind of demanded a visual component, because otherwise they'd end up like bad fan fiction where it just takes 3 paragraphs to describe the characters and what they're doing because it's so bland. I wouldn't mind holding on to the channel, and if it stays popular or gets more popular, then I'll keep uploading videos to it, and maybe that could be a component. I've always figured that if anything, I'm going to wind up being a professional Renaissance man, where I'm doing 19 different things and cobbling a living together like that.
Hmm. Well, that is it for the writer questions, and so the next
Alrighty.
set is for you as a artist.
Hmm.
When did you become interested in art?
5 years old when I was drawing stick figures getting maimed.
What kind of artwork do you produce?
um, I like doing character art. I like drawing people because I like telling stories. So it's mostly comic art and strips and pages and things like that. Um, if you looked at my DeviantArt right now, you'd see a ton of like furry and anthro art because a lot of my friends are furries, and I've drawn characters and fan art for them and stuff, and that's like 90% of my gallery at this point, or the first page anyway. I like drawing robots and bionics too. That's fun, but it's always simple cartoony stuff because I just can't be bothered to draw, technically accurate stuff of any kind. And I like drawing cute girls because that's just fun.
What media and equipment do you do you use for your artwork?
Um, I think I work best with a pencil, but I almost never actually work with traditional stuff anymore because everything I do winds up on the computer anyway, so it's just a lot more convenient to do stuff digitally. Um, I just use a basic bamboo tablet, and lately I've been working with Clip Studio EX or Manga Studio 5 EX if you get it on disc. For those, yeah, you know what I mean. Um, Used to use Open Canvas, and I've been through a few other like digital art programs, but it's all the same stuff, just like digital draw and color and Yeah, I'm not all that picky about it really, as long as it's got things that do stuff.
Where do you get your inspiration?
For art,
Mm-hmm.
well, it's all of my art is made for telling stories. Like I said before, I all I really care about is getting the stories out there, and art sort of done as a necessity for me because I need it to properly tell those stories. So when I'm drawing, I'm pretty much doing it for the sake of getting the scenes in my head onto a canvas. So I guess the inspiration is the crazy things that happen when my characters go bumping into each other like a bunch of melodramatic wind-up toys.
Are there any artists that influence your work?
Um, yes, there's one that I've been following on Tumblr right now who's you can find him at Kinda Herny Art. I don't know, like I think he goes by Ed or sometimes Herney, and he draws a lot of really great cartoons because I always like being a cartoonist. I like drawing fun stuff, and his stuff is really it's really stylish and fun and just like really neat to look at, but it's also very realistic. The characters look very well put together. They don't look like a sum of lines and colors. They look like actual people. Um, and that's the kind of stuff that I want to do. So whenever he posts new art, I'm always like furiously taking mental notes, like, "Oh, it's so great! I gotta learn how to do this." Um, there's other artists who do the same kind of thing. There's um, I don't know how to pronounce this because it's French. Yves Bourgeois, I think. French Canadian guy, draws a lot of Mario fan art. He does a lot of very bright, fun, cheerful stuff as well. That's fun to look at. And Scott DeWitt, the author of Fanboys and current artist for Extra Credits. Uh, Another guy who does really fun cartoons. And I don't want to blow my cover here, but there's actually there's an adult artist that I think does really great cartoon characters. He goes by Chalo Dillo. His real name's Gonzalo Reyes, um, and he does mostly anthro art, like furry stuff. But his characters are, again, they're really stylish and really fun to look at, and they're super cute, but they're also very holistic and put together, and they feel organic. That's the kind of stuff I want to do. Also, he's got a really great way of drawing cute girls, and I like drawing cute girls. So,
How has art changed you?
um, well, like I said before, it's given me an outlet. I know a few artists, and if you know artists, if you know people who like to draw, characters and stuff, like that's a very important outlet. You know, a lot of the time, if we have something to say to each other, we'll actually say it through a piece of art. Um, and yeah, I guess the fact that it's given me a way to get these stories out, and that getting these stories out has given people the chance to see them and react to them. That's added to added to that confidence boosting effect, of actually having positive feedback on what I do. So the fact that I got off my ass and developed my art into something I can actually use has been a very positive force. So I'm glad I did that.
How has art changed your life?
Um, See above.
Mm.
Yeah, it's been a positive force, and it's given me something to do now and something that I can do in the future. So yeah, and it's given me the chance to meet other artists, and online artists are a fun bunch of people, so that's nice.
Now, you have drawn a few creepypasta characters. Why did you get interested in drawing creepypasta art?
Um, have I think I know I draw. I know I drew Jeff once. I think that picture's still in my gallery, and collecting a ton of totally undeserved faves from passing passing people doing fave harvests. Um, I've drawn a few characters from creepypasta stories back when I was still narrating creepypasta, doing stuff from the site, just because I needed cover art, and I didn't want to take just a spooky photo or something and throw that on the video. I wanted to have something original up there, so I did um, line art and stuff. It's for me, art is always out of necessity because the process of creating art for me is incredibly frustrating, and I'm not very patient. So it's a testament to how much I want to do these stories and want to get this stuff out there that I actually sit down for hours and do the most frustrating thing in the world for me so that I can have a piece of artwork to go with it.
What art projects are you currently working on?
I'm doing well. I'm sort of prepping to do a few webcomics. There's one that I've been wanting to do for a while called Machina, and it's about androids in the future and it's techno junk. And then I realized that I had some other robot characters, and maybe I could do some kind of tie-in series or something. So I'm working on all the logistics of that, and in the meantime, just doing, character references and practicing things like that. I I'd like to be doing commissions and things like that, but I'm totally unknown as an artist, so that's not really possible, unfortunately. Because man, I could use the money. And I have been, just because I know that there is money in it, I have been pondering the idea of going into quote-unquote adult entertainment. Because, yeah, people always have money to spend on smut.
Mm.
But, yeah, we'll see how that works out if I actually jump in there. Yeah, mostly just working on characters and stories and concepts and things, and of course I have a ton of sequential art to do for those videos that are going up on the channel because they're if it's 20 minutes long, I need more than one frame of artwork for it. Otherwise, it's just going to be visually boring. Oh, and I'm actually working on a piece of artwork that's going to be in a video game coming up. Don't get too excited. I wasn't hired, but they just collected basically the first 100 people who asked. And said, draw some fan arts, and that's going to be in a side quest where you pick up the art and bring it to a museum. So I need to get off my ass and finish a nice big digital piece for Shantae, Half Genie Hero, which is coming out probably early next year because they just got some extra funding, so I think they're going to put some more time into that. So yeah, that'll be fun. Have my artwork in a video game.
Yeah, that's, whether you were hired or you got in that way, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we are on our last question. What is a fun fact about yourself?
Fun fact about me. I'm a trained singer, a sometimes composer, and a voiceover hobbyist. And I actually did all the music, sound effects, and most of the character voices for a reboot parody cartoon that came out, I don't know, 8 months ago or something. So yeah, that's something else I like to do when I have the time for it, which is almost never.
Is there anything you would like to add before we wrap this up?
Be nice to furries, because no, because a lot of my friends are furries, and I think they're really great people, and their community is great, their fandom is great, and people are really hard on them because they don't understand them, and they won't give them a chance. So be nice to the furries, people.
All details
Alrighty.
for Vox are in the description below, so make sure you check everything out, including his DeviantArt. And that is it for now, so bye everybody.
Thanks for having me.